What is up, Xaliter here. The Rogue Engineer skill tree is a must pick for dagger and trap builds and is a great support pick for builds that use multiple weapons. The Rogue Engineer trainer is located in Levant, in the slums. Here, I'll go over all the perks of the Rogue Engineer skill tree. Tier 1 skills are skills that are available to anyone. You just need to have the silver to pay for the skills, and you do not have to worry about using your limited breakthrough points. So, there is no harm in just buying these skills to experiment with them. You may see this little bar that is connecting these two skills right here. This means that you have to buy the bottom skill in order to buy the top skill. Backstab is an active skill that requires a dagger equipped. It costs 5 stamina to cast and has a cooldown of 15 seconds. After casting Backstab, it launches a dagger attack dealing 1.0 times the dagger's damage and 1.0 times the dagger's impact and inflicting the dagger's effects. If the dagger attack hits the enemy's back, it deals 4.0 times the dagger's damage and 4.0 times the dagger's impact. Opportunist Stab is an active skill that requires a dagger equipped. It costs 5 stamina to cast and has a cooldown of 10 seconds. After casting Opportunist Stab, it launches a dagger attack dealing 1.0 times the dagger's damage and 1.0 times the dagger's impact and inflicting the dagger's effects. If the enemy is inflicted with pain or confusion, it deals 3.0 times the dagger's damage and 3.0 times the dagger's impact. If the enemy is inflicted with both pain and confusion, it deals 6.0 times the dagger's damage and 6.0 times the dagger's impact. It removes the pain and or confusion status effect from the enemy. Sweep Kick is an active skill that costs 12 stamina to cast and has a cooldown of 15 seconds. After casting Sweep Kick, it launches a sweep attack in a small area of effect around the player, dealing 20 physical damage and 85 impact. If the enemy is inflicted with confusion, they are guaranteed to be knocked down unless they have 100% impact resistance. Pressure Plate Training is a passive skill that allows the player to use pressure plate traps. There are 10 different traps that can be deployed. The Incendiary Trap deals 85 fire damage and 75 impact and inflicts burning, which deals fire damage over time. The Incendiary Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with an incendiary charge or an old lantern. The improved Incendiary Trap deals 100 fire damage and 120 impact and inflicts burning, which deals fire damage over time. The improved Incendiary Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with an Explorer Lantern, Fire Varnish, Fire Stone, or Obsidian Shard. The Toxic Trap deals 80 decay damage and inflicts poisoned, which deals decay damage over time. The Toxic Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with a Toxic Charge, Miasma Pod, or Boiled Miasma Pod. The improved Toxic Trap deals 80 decay damage and inflicts extreme poison, which deals decay damage over time. The improved Toxic Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with a Dark Varnish, Poison Varnish, or Phytosaur Horn. The Nerve Gas Trap creates an AoE cloud that deals 12.5 ethereal damage and 1 impact every 0.5 seconds for 4 seconds and inflicts pain, which decreases the enemy's physical resistance by 25%. The Nerve Gas Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with a Nerve Gas Charge. The Shock Trap deals 90 lightning damage and 80 impact and inflicts confusion, which decreases the enemy's impact resistance by 25%. The Shock Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with a Bolt Varnish or Gold Lich mechanism. The Sapped Trap deals 90 lightning damage and inflicts Sapped, which decreases the enemy's non-physical damage dealt by 40%. The Sap Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with an Arcane Dampener. The Flash Trap deals 60 lightning damage and 200 impact. The Flash Trap can be made by arming the pressure plate trap with a Firefly Powder. The Frost Trap deals 80 frost damage and 100 impact and inflicts slowdown, which decreases enemy movement speed by 25%. The Frost Trap can be made by arming the Pressure Plate Trap with an Ice Varnish, Blue Sand, or Cold Stone. The Ethereal Trap deals 60 ethereal damage and 100 impact and inflicts Haunted, which decreases the enemy's ethereal damage and resistance by 25%. The Ethereal Trap can be made by arming the Pressure Plate Trap with a Ghost Eye, Occult Remains, Shark Cartilage, or Spiritual Varnish. Tier 2 consists of a single skill. To buy this skill, you must use a breakthrough point, meaning that you are locked into the skill tree as one of your 3 skill trees. It's a good idea to have at least a general idea of what build you are trying to go for before you use your breakthrough points, as you cannot get them back after you use them. Feather Dodge is a passive skill that decreases the stamina needed to dodge by 50% and allows unimpeded dodging with any backpack. This can be a great quality of life upgrade if you want to switch weapons that are stored in your backpack in the middle of a fight, as you would not have any penalty to not dropping your backpack. Also, the skill will let you dodge roll a lot more often in your fights, allowing you to reposition and get behind the enemy for those backstabs. Tier 3 skills are locked behind the Tier 2 skill, meaning that to unlock the Tier 3 skills in the skill tree, you have to use a breakthrough point to unlock the Tier 2 skill of the same skill tree. Again, it is generally a good idea to have an idea of what build you want to go for before you choose Tier 2 and Tier 3 skills. Some Tier 3 skills are sitting right next to each other. When you see this, it means that the 2 skills are mutually exclusive, and if you choose one, you cannot choose the other. Again, there is this little bar that is connecting these 2 skills right here. This means that you have to buy the bottom skill in order to buy the top skill. Serpent's Parry is an active skill that requires a dagger equipped. It costs 7 stamina to cast and has a cooldown of 100 seconds. After casting Serpent's Parry, it performs a dagger counter to block a physical melee attack. If the skill successfully blocks an attack, it launches a counterattack dealing 2.0 times the dagger's damage and 2.0 times the dagger's impact. If the enemy is inflicted with confusion, the enemy is stunned for 4 seconds. If the enemy is inflicted with pain, the enemy is inflicted with extreme bleeding, which deals damage based on a percentage of the enemy's maximum health per second. Stealth Training is a passive skill that increases the stealth attribute of the player, making it harder for enemies to detect the player. It also decreases the movement speed penalty from crouching, letting you move faster when you crouch. This skill can be helpful to sneak up on enemies and get backstabs in. Pressure Plate Expertise is a passive skill that makes it so pressure plate traps are not consumed when triggered. So, you do not have to keep on buying new pressure plate traps, you only have to find new things to arm the pressure plate traps with. It also increases the power of the 10 different pressure plate trap types. For the Toxic Trap, Improved Toxic Trap, Incendiary Trap, and Improved Incendiary Trap, it adds 30 physical damage and 30 impact. For the Nerve Gas Trap, it also inflicts Confusion, which decreases impact resistance by 25%. For the Shock and Sap Trap, it adds 45 lightning damage. For the Flash Trap, it adds 30 lightning damage. For the Frost Trap, it adds 40 frost damage. For the Ethereal Trap, it adds 30 ethereal damage. In my opinion, the Rogue Engineer skill tree is a must pick for dagger and trap builds and is a great support pick for builds that use multiple weapons. The unimpeded dodge rolling is great as you can store different weapons in your backpack and you would still be able to easily switch weapons in the middle of a fight. I hope you found this video informative. If you are thinking about making different builds in Outward, click on the info card for a build calculator that you might find helpful. Otherwise, I'll see you later.